He fits back on here like so. So I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to go ahead and start my bolt. And sorry, I'm in your way. And now I'm just going to zip these guys down. There's one, and there's our other one. So once you've ran both those bolts down back there, you go ahead and take your 18mm, and we're going to make sure to tighten these guys up really good, because remember, they're on there really tight, so that's pretty good for that one. And then about right there for that one. So you got both those tightened up. Now we're just about ready to put our pads and our caliper back on over that, but there's a couple things we need to do before we do that. So hang on here just a second. I'll show you the things you need to do in order to get everything put back together. Okay guys, so I've got my new pads here. Let me go ahead and open these guys up, and if I'm not mistaken, they're all just about exactly the same, so you can't really put them on the wrong way. And let's see, just kind of look here. There we go, and it's going to fit on right like that. Yeah, that fits in there good. So we're going to fit them on there like that, but first I'm going to go ahead and put some brake lubricant, some brake grease on the ends of both of these. And then also, before we can actually get everything back together, you're going to want to take your caliper right here, and we're going to have to compress these two piston backs. And the way we're going to go about doing that is we'll take an old pad. I just got this new one sitting right here. You're going to set it right like that. We'll take a C-clamp, we'll compress it back slowly, and that's how we're going to get the pistons back. Give me just a second here to reset up, and I'll show you that process. Okay, so now we're looking at our caliper. We've got an old brake pad, you don't want to use your new one, and then we've got a C-clamp, which looks like this. So basically, I'm going to align it in such a way where I've got them like this, and I'm going to slowly kind of tighten them, which is going to slowly, it's got my glove there, it's going to slowly compress these two pistons. And I may have to switch kind of sides, because you can see right now I'm favoring the left side. And I'm just doing it nice and slow. We don't want to damage anything, because there's lots of stuff that can be damaged when we do this, and if we do it really quickly, then we can mess things up, which we don't want to do. So, and a lot of guys say, well, you should loosen up that bleeder valve and let the brake fluid come out when you do that. And you know that's right. That will help prevent from damaging anything. But if you do it nice and slow, like I'm doing right here, you can save yourself an extra step by doing it this way. So that's how you're gonna do it right like that. And I've done lots of brake jobs and I've never damaged anything. I have seen fluid come out of the brake reservoirs, because people, when they fill it up in between brake changes, they see their fluid's low, they fill it up, and then you got a full brake reservoir, and then when you compress these pistons back, you got fluid coming back into the brake reservoir, so fluid comes out. So, but it doesn't hurt anything. So you can see we've almost got them all the way back there, and just about there we go. That's as tight as she's gonna get. And I'm gonna take this guy off right here, and now we'll be able to set it on our new brake pads. So I'm gonna reset up here, and there's one last thing I still need to tell you about, so I'll show you that here in just a second. Okay, so here's our new brake pads, and I'm just gonna pull them out here, and I'm gonna take my old brake pad and just kind of make sure the lining is the same, and yeah, it looks good. So the other thing you want to do, guys, is you'll take some brake grease or some brake lubricant here, and we're going to apply it here on the ends. That's just going to ensure everything kind of flows smoothly, and it's going to reduce noise. So what I'll do here is we've got wear indicators on every brake pad, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to just kind of set them right up in here like so, and then I'll do the same with the other side, and then I'll slip my caliper back on, and then we're gonna deal with our caliper slide pins. Whenever we're putting those back in, we want to make sure that they're sliding correctly, because if they don't, what they can do is they can lock up and they can cause you problems. They can cause uneven brake pad wear and premature brake pad wear and that sort of thing. So we really want to make sure that your caliper slide pins are sliding in good condition, just so we don't have any problems there. So now we'll go ahead and we'll just set this guy back down over the new pads, and he should just slide right over. And now I'll show you, and I'll talk a little bit more about the slide pins. Okay guys, so here we are. We're looking at our slide pin. We can see got that little seal. You need to pop him off there, and then we'll pull this guy out right here. Now he's actually looking pretty dry, so what I want to do is I'll take one of my blue rags right here. I'm just gonna wipe him down, and then I'm going to generously apply some disc brake grease. And what that's going to do is it's just going to ensure that this guy doesn't get locked up. I don't see him dry that often. That's pretty strange. So I mean, if I do, they're normally kind of locked up, so it's strange to just see it kind of pull out like that. So you're going to want to do that with both sides, and this guy kind of will flow back and forth. It doesn't look like he's meant to do much flowing there, so but just, I mean, make sure you do that, because generally when you get brakes, you'll have some disc brake grease with it if you buy more expensive pads, and they always try to sell it to you at the auto parts store. And another thing I'll mention here, guys, is when they try and sell you those little packets, go ahead and buy a thing of this right here. It's like 10 bucks. It's just a big thing of it, so you don't have to buy the little packets every time. So make sure to do that with your other slide pin as well. Then I'll go ahead and tighten this back up, and we'll work on getting everything put back together. Okay guys, so now we're going to take our 12mm bolts, and we're just going to kind of start those guys back right like so. And I'm going to make sure to tighten these guys good and well, but not too tight, because they are small bolts and they will strip. It doesn't take a whole lot to strip them. So I'm just going to run them down here. And there we go. So now I'll take my regular ratchet and I'll tighten both of these guys down. And what we got here, so we got a little guy that spins, and let's see, we'll be able to hold them with a combination wrench or a pair of channel locks. I'm going to try and do it without doing that. You can generally spin it really quickly, and we'll be able to tighten it, and then won't have that problem. So I'm going to go down here and see if I'm having the same issue. I know I've already got them tight on the bottom one, so I'm going to show you about how tight you want it. Okay guys, and I'm using this pair of channel locks here. Just be careful not to damage your seal there, and you can do that. You can hold it and also be careful at the same time. So right about what you saw me do there, that's about good enough there. And we're also just going to look at that seal. Seal's looking in good shape, and I'll do the same with the bottom one, and that's about how tight you want it. Now I also got a couple more things to say about before you actually drive your car. So I'll get this stuff wrapped up here, and then I'll get everything reset up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about there. Okay guys, and the last thing I like to do here, and it's especially good for you guys, is I like to take some anti-seize and apply it to each stud. And you can see I've already ran down one lug nut there, so I'm just going to apply a little bit to each one. And basically this is going to help you guys more than it'll help me. But what it's going to do is when you're doing a do-it-yourself project and you go to remove your wheels, oftentimes when people who are actually doing stuff themselves, when they remove the lug nuts, you're putting a lot of extra stress on the lug nuts and the stud threads, okay? Because you're using a breaker bar and a crossbar. Now when I use an impact gun, it's actually less stressful on the threads. So applying this anti-seize will save you from having to replace a wheel stud later on down the road. So it's good practice. So do that, and now I'll show you. I'm just gonna zip these things down. And the other thing is, before you actually drive away, you want to make sure to depress your brake pedal all the way down. Once you've got both sides done and you stick your keys in your car and you're about ready to drive, what that's going to do when you depress your brake pedal all the way down and you pump it up until it gets hard, is it's going to ensure that your piston is compressing your two brake pads up against that rotor, and that's what's going to give you the stopping force. And if you don't do that, then when you first depress the brake pedal, it's going to go to the floor and you're not going to have any brake force there. So just remember to do that as well. And also keep in mind, this is the first time you've done brakes on your own. When you drive, generally what happens is you'll get a smell and you'll get some smoke from the wheels that you're working on, and basically that's from the oils and the stuff that touch your rotor. And if you wiped it down good and well, you shouldn't have that problem, but they still can smoke because the brake pads are marrying the new rotor. They get married. They're marrying the pads and rotors are getting married. So that's normal. So just driving around, after the first time it shouldn't smoke anymore or give off that kind of smell. So those are just some other things to keep in mind. So now I'm just going to go ahead and put everything back together, and that pretty much concludes today's video. Thanks for watching, and again, you'll see me throwing this stuff back together, but I'm done talking. So thanks again, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to subscribe so you can catch all my new videos, which publish Mondays and Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will see you then.